So, Harry, what is the most physically impressive thing that you are capable of doing?
Okay. I can put my ankles behind my head.
Really?
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe, to be honest.
I can show you.
Go ahead. Go right ahead, yeah.
Okay, here I go.
Oh, wow. Now do it the other way.
Okay. And there you go.
Okay, great. That's very impressive. I'll just call the ambulance.
See, I can do everything.
Yeah.
Nothing's broken yet. Was that anything?
I don't know, I'll do.
Don't know why I actually do stuff with my body.
I thought you were going to actually attempt it for a second.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are pitching prequels, sequels, and spin-off ideas to Timecop. We'll also be pitching some drinking games and hearing other sequel pitches from our Twitter followers. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments from the original movie and catch you up with a bit of a plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most need for more time in one day. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely not 5 hours late to a podcast.
No, yes. If you did have the ability to jump around time, maybe be on time for a fucking show once in a while.
And joining me as always, the host with the most time on his hands, the lazy git, it's John Lucas.
I'm really lazy because you never bloody turn up for anything. Turn it round on me, little bitch.
I've got things to do.
Sure.
Anyway, Timecop.
Timecop, yeah.
So-
Timecop. I feel like it needs an exclamation mark and a deep macho voice. Timecop.
It really does need an exclamation mark, but
Yeah, it
I
just have one.
like watching it. I feel like it's more of a ballet.
yeah, really? Like a ... Like
The way that he moves around.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We'll get to JCVD and his many physical attributes, but yeah, Timecop. What did you think?
This was hit and miss. It was either an absolute full pace or like, oh, what is going on here?
I'll say the plot was a little. Well, I think that's a theme for this. We're doing kind of a vague. This isn't internety, but we seem to have got into a bit of a techno thriller 90s.
Yeah.
I think one theme of these last few movies we've done is convoluted plots that don't really stand up to much scrutiny.
Absolutely, yeah.
This one had the most holes. I have many notes about how this universe works, but we'll get to that.
I don't think it does.
No, it really doesn't. But we'll get to that as we go through the plot. But on the whole, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Is this your first JCVD? Because we've not done one before.
No, we've not. It might be actually. What are his other big ones?
Well, this is kind of it.
Oh, really?
This is his most successful film financially. This is the peak.
Really?
Yeah. That he was like the lead, like the poster artist. I think he was in Predator maybe, or one of the Predators, which probably made more money than this.
Yeah.
He was in an Expendables that made more money than this. Mm-hmm. I think he's played a villain in a couple of things, like maybe in a Rocky. Mm-hmm. So he's been in like more profitable movies, but as like the lead, this is as good as it got.
Wow.
And it was successful. It was a hit, but this knocked Forrest Gump off number one at the box office in America. So there you go.
I mean, eventually something's got to knock everything off
I
number
agree.
one.
Yeah. And it didn't make as much money as Forrest Gump, obviously.
How long was Forrest Gump at number one? Was it like half a year?
Oh,
or
yeah,
something?
yeah, like 9 weeks.
Great.
So something was going to have to chip it off the lock. But I just thought that was fun because you wouldn't think of those two films being in the same time zone in many ways. But yeah, I would say this is really my first JCVD as well. It's not really he's not really someone I go to very often. Watching this film, and I enjoyed it too. I thought this was a lot of fun. It really makes you appreciate how good Arnold Schwarzenegger is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like JCVD, I'm just going to call him that because I'm not going to say Jean-Claude Van Damme like 20 times this podcast. I feel like JCVD is like, if Schwarzenegger's Britney Spears, JCVD is Christina Aguilera. Yeah. Like, he's technically more talented. Like, as a not as an actor, obviously, but like...
to bring it into gay terms.
So yeah, I'm bringing it down to my level. Like, technically more skilled. All that mixed martial arts, and it's very impressive what he does. Yeah. Whereas Arnie just lifts weights. Like, Arnie's not particularly agile. He's just big.
It's more macho. What Arnie does is way more macho. Like, he can just punch someone really hard, and that's it. And he's just a big thing. Yeah. Whereas Van Damme, he's like I said, he's more of a ballet dancer. Like he can just do the splits at the drop of a hat,
And he does many a time.
and he doesn't need to all the time.
No, sometimes just for shits and giggles.
I think he's just showing that he can. Whereas, like, you'd never catch Arnie doing anything even remotely close to that.
Oh, I don't think Arnie could even like kneel down and get back up again under his own strength. To be honest, I think he's only works like fully rigidly standing. Still,
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, like, JCVD has more physical talent, I would say. I think it's more of a skill what he does, but he just doesn't have the charisma.
No.
He's just not as likable.
No, he doesn't.
He's just a bit like, there's so many Arnie style quips in this movie and they all just die.
All of them.
They just, because he doesn't have that glint in his eye. Yeah. But it's still a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. While we're on topic, what's your favorite Arnie film?
My favorite Arnie film? Oh, True Lies.
True Lies? Okay.
Horrendously racist, and I completely own that. Like, but so are most of films from that time. But it's just,
to be honest, I've already forgotten the racism in it.
It's just very like stereotypical portrayals of like Iranians. Like the plot's all about like Arabic people being terrorists. And,
I remember this now, and I couldn't get on board with it, could I? I think
no, I don't think you enjoyed it. And also it's very sexist. But I just enjoyed Jamie Lee Curtis in it, even though her character is treated like shit. I just find her to be a very funny actress, so I just enjoyed her in the movie. But yeah, True Lies. And also the ridiculous, it's so camp. Like, jump, Dana, jump! When there's little girls hanging off the plane. It's just a hoot. I could do that one again. But I love how I'm really gaying up all these macho films. First the Britain, like, it's a hoot.
How you doing, partner? Ex-partner. Max. I'm not gonna change a thing. The only ripples are gonna be in my swimming pool. It's a nice place.
You can do this by yourself. Who are you working for?
Like, I'm not hurting anybody. It's America, man. You know, I just taking an opportunity, that's all.
Got to take you back.
I went 10 rounds with John L. Sullivan himself.
I saw Tyson beat Spinks on TV.
Yeah, so do you want to get into a plot summary for this then?
Sure. I mean, what's your favourite Arnie, if you're going to ask the question?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think it's probably got to be Terminator 2.
Terminator 2. I do prefer Terminator 2 to 1.
Yeah.
It's got a bit more to it. So.
Yeah. Because I think he's better in the first one. I think I prefer him in the first one when he's just this immovable mass that just doesn't really have... He doesn't have any charisma, but that works.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so robotic, and it's potentially his best role because of it.
Yeah, sure.
So no, probably,
That's good. Not Jingle All the Way then, no.
Absolutely not. No. You mentioned that again, I'm quitting.
I'm just saying, I think I'm about ready to revisit that one. It's been a few years, but sure. Wrong time of year, obviously, but maybe this Christmas, who knows. Okay, should we get into a plot summary then?
Yeah.
Great. So, as I mentioned, Timecop, released in 1994, I think.
I've got to feel sorry for Van Damme. Like, we've already spent more time talking about Arnie than
it's
him.
It's just the way it goes. It's just how these things happen.
It's like you can't talk about Glenn Close without talking about Meryl.
Yeah, some people are just like paired up, what can you do? Do you think this film would work better if Van Damme was replaced by Arnie?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be different. Like, the fights would have to
The fights would be very different. It would, instead of like these incredibly choreographed, martial art, it'd just be Arnie going, boom, just punch straight in the jaw. Yeah. I would so pay so much money to see Arnie do that, jump into the splits onto the kitchen counter to avoid the electricity. That scene. Arnie doing that. I mean, there'd be no kitchen counter left. It'd just be a pile of rubble, but yeah. But yeah, no, it would have to be a different film. Or maybe someone else who just had a bit more charisma who can also do a bit of martial arts. Because
he's not got no charisma.
No, he's just a bit bland.
Yeah.
He's very wooden. He's very wooden.
I think ultimately he's just not quite good enough for a lead.
No, he's not. That's why he's kind of mostly stuck to kind of B movies. But
Or at least side characters in the bigger movies that he's in.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a villain and he's fine. But anyway, so this film came out in 1994-ish, I think. It does star Jean-Claude Van Damme, the muscles from Brussels. But we don't start...
I remembered that he had a nickname that was like a really good rhyme. And I was like, I know he's Belgian. What rhymes with the word Belgian? I can't think of anything that rhymes with Belgian.
The hellion from Belgium? I don't know.
This just isn't working. It took me ages to work it out. Muscles doesn't rhyme with Belgium, but I could swear it was muscles.
Muscles from Brussels. That's how he was known in the day. Yeah, but we don't open with him. He doesn't actually enter the movie for quite some time. We get quite a bit of a, although it opens strong. We open in Georgia, American Georgia, 1863, so like the height of the American Civil War.
Yeah.
And what looks to be an old school kind of stick up. It's like a bunch of Confederate soldiers on horseback coming through like this forest on a rainy day, and they're encountered by a mysterious traveler who says, "Oh, hi guys, could you maybe give me all the gold you're carrying, please?" And there's a bit of a standoff, and they're like, "Move aside." I'm not going to try the accent, but they're like, "Move aside. We'll shoot you where you stand." And he's like, "I'm going to ask you one more time. Give me the gold." And they're like, "There's one of you. There's like 10 of us. What are you going to do?" And then this guy just pulls out 2 like laser Uzis and just like blows them to smithereens. It's so funny.
I love how much attention they give to the fact that he didn't kill any horses.
Yes.
He didn't hurt any horses. Like, he's just firing machine guns just randomly, like, because he doesn't need to aim. He's got 1,000,000 bullets. He's in the future. It's fine. But they make a very prominent shot of like all the horses just casually just trotting away.
Sure. Also, they probably couldn't afford the CGI it would require to have a dead horse.
No.
So it's like, yeah, just fall off the horses and then just hope they don't tread on you.
Yeah.
And we'll move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we cut.
And this scene, it barely affects the plot at all.
No, it's just to
barely anything.
It's to set up what is happening, which is that there's time travel crime. Basically, time travelers are committing crimes.
Yeah.
They're going to the past to commit crimes. So then we cut to Washington, 1994, so present day in the context of this movie. And then we get like a 4-minute just bald exposition scene. This is just pure like, well, here's how this movie works.
Yeah.
So it's the president meeting and a bunch of senators, and some guy comes in and says, so there's this thing called time travel crime, and this is what's happening, and this is how the rules work in this universe.
Well, before he starts getting to the rules, like somebody calls him out and says like, are we supposed to believe this? This is bullshit. Like, you're just talking nonsense. And he's like, yes, but then it worked.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, like, well, here's the evidence, but it won't make any more sense to you than it makes to me. That was my favorite line.
yeah.
Just like, don't even think about it. Just let it slide over. But
I think the only proof that he gives that time travel is a thing, he's like, oh yeah, well, this guy committed a crime, and like now he just came across all this gold from like the Confederate era US. Like, so time travel is the only explanation.
There's no
sure.
possible explanation.
Like,
for this, yeah.
Nothing at all. No, okay, sure. And they all just buy it.
They buy into it completely, yeah. But it's really setting up the parameters. So basically, you can travel backwards in time, but you can't go into the future because that's not happened yet. So what these criminals are doing is they're jumping back in time, and because I guess it's easier to steal in the past or whatever. Or we see there's other ways that they're doing it later in the film. But yeah, basically they're jumping into the past to steal money to enrich themselves. But this is causing a lot of risks because every time you go back into the past and do anything, you are risking, it's the butterfly effect. It's that classic time travel butterfly effect where, yes, you might do something good, like kill Hitler, but you never know how that is going to ripple and change the entire course of history. It could make things 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So they propose setting up an American task force, like a special forces unit of Timecops, who will police time travel and make sure.
This guy gave it a name like immediately.
It wasn't time copping, though, was it? It was something really a bit more boring than that.
Yeah, I don't remember, but like, he just came up with it seemingly on the spot, and nobody's authorized this or anything. He's just doing a pitch to people, and he's just saying like, yeah, and so we're going to come up with like this thing that we're going to call the FBI or something, but not. And they're like, oh, okay, great. So we're just going to start this thing.
Yeah, if only politics moved this quickly. Like, this would be like months of debate. But yeah, the president signs it off, and there's a senator there who's played by Ron Silver, who's our villain.
Sure, yeah.
Who I always mix up with Fisher Stevens, who was the villain in our last movie, Hackers.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're both like bearded, middle-aged guys who played a lot of Gary Oldman roles in the 90s. So I was like, oh, is that the... Oh, no, it's not. It's Ron Silver. I just get them mixed up all the time. They look very similar. Anyway, it's not Fisher Stevens. It's Ron Stevens. Ron Silver. See, I can't even get the names right. Yes, it's Ron Silver, and he's
this
one of the
is bizarre
senators.
to me because I've never heard of either of these people.
We
and you're
did-
constantly getting. I know that we did one of them last week.
Okay.
But I've never heard of either of these
No,
people
sure,
before.
they're
And
not-
you're here just getting them mixed up all the time. I don't get it.
Well, they're not that famous, but I watch a lot of movies, especially 90s movies. So yeah, they crop up. But yes, so this senator is there, and he volunteers to take the lead on the task force to be like in charge of it, which will play out later. So that's the task force set up. And then we finally get introduced to JCVD,
Yes.
who is at this time, I guess he's just a regular police officer.
I think so, yeah.
Because he's about to take a job. This is like the day before he starts his new job as a time cop. But it's like he can't tell people that. It's like a top secret new job.
Yeah.
And he's in the mall with his lovely wife, whose name I don't remember, but she's played by Mia Sarah. So I'll go with that.
This whole scene was It was annoying because I've seen enough time travel movies to know that, like, if near on in the it happens in TV shows as well. If early on in the story there's a scene with a lot of detail and yet no plot, you know for a fact
it's coming back around.
yeah. And if somebody dies at the end of it, like, it's guaranteed. Like, oh, this is how the film is going to end. I know, I got this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say this is a film that particularly tries to surprise you. Where it's it's pretty run of the mill.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this weird little intro that, like, they had this weird kind of kinky role play thing going on. Like, when he comes up behind her, God, the dialogue.
There's never enough time
Never enough for what?
to satisfy a woman.
Then you never want to miss an opportunity.
Are you busy?
I'm meeting my husband.
If I were him, I would not keep you waiting.
If he's not here when I turn around, I'll go home with you.
Do me a favor. Next time you're, like, out shopping with Louise.
No, I will not.
Oh, come on. Just like walk up behind her and just sneak up behind her when she doesn't know you're around and just go say these exact words. There is never enough time to satisfy a woman. Just see what she does. Like, in a thick Belgian accent. There is never enough time to satisfy a woman.
No.
Oh, such sexy dialogue. So they're having this weird little flirty thing.
I'll give you permission to do that.
Sure, yeah, okay.
But that's on you.
Okay, fine. I might try it. Yeah, so they're having this, like, sexy dialogue in the mall, and then he stops a mugger. There's a mugger, like, robs an old lady's bag, and he stops the mugger with, like, just a high kick.
Yeah.
The mugger just...
It's not even a high... It doesn't even kick him. He just puts his foot...
It's a pose, yeah.
in front of his face.
Yeah, it's... The mugger just runs into his open foot, so he just stands there. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's showing that he's very, he's very martial artsy.
It's kind of a silly move because the mugger's on a skateboard.
Yeah.
So he skateboards past this old woman stealing her handbag.
Mm-hmm.
And Jean-Claude Van Damme, he just puts his foot up in the air, stopping this guy. He doesn't kick the guy off the skateboard or anything. Doesn't disable him in any way.
No.
All that guy needs to do is get away for like 2 seconds, and then he'll build up enough speed on his skateboard that Jean-Claude Van Damme's not going to catch up with him.
Yeah, I don't think Jean-Claude Van Damme can probably run very fast. He seems like he's more muscular. So,
Yeah. So it's a bad move. Kick the guy off the skateboard.
Yeah, sure.
Just do that.
I like how he just says, give it back. And just the mugger just like gives the bag back to the old lady and then just kind of walks away. Like, faces no consequences.
That's it.
Yeah. So then Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of looks up and he sees 2 oddly dressed kind of heavies like giving him the death stare out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But then he turns around and they're gone again. He's like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
Then him and his wife have some more random dialogue. I did enjoy that she called out his accent. I was like, all those Arnie films where they just don't mention the fact that he's clearly from Austria, even though he's like always plays like super Americans. This one, she kind of says, "Oh, you with your crazy accent." And it's like, I was like, let's go to learn some more English words. I was like, oh, that's nice. They're not pretending he's like Joe America, even though his role would suggest that he is. So, yeah, they're doing that, and then it hard cuts to a very 90s sex scene.
It's a very hard cut.
It's a very hard
cut.
cut.
So early in the film as well.
It's
I was not ready for this. There's a lot of nudity going on here.
It goes, it's like it cuts straight.
It opens with his bare ass.
It really does. Yeah, it's like the camera is straight down his arsehole.
Yeah,
like,
it's rare for a film to like open with just what. It's rare for a film to show a man's naked ass at all.
Yeah,
more likely you're going to get female nudity.
Sure,
and you get a lot of that too. And I'm just not prepared for any of this. I'm like, whoa, this film is way too macho to be showing a naked man.
Yeah, it's right. It's like right down there. I saw God in that moment. It's like... So they're having very 90s sex. There's a saxophone going crazy on the soundtrack. There's so many candles.
This soundtrack is great.
It really is.
So sexy all the time.
Yeah, like... Yeah, the soundtrack is full 90s saxophone, and there's just a risky amount of candles just all around the bed. Like... So they're making love, and then he gets a phone call from his department, I guess. He has to do like a late night response. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she begs him not to go. She's like, wait, I've got something I need to tell you first. And he's like, save it. Man's got to do what a man's got to do. I'll come back later and I'll listen to your crazy story, woman.
Yeah.
And basically that's the vibe.
I love how, this is one of the things I love in films when a woman says like, I've got something to tell you. And the man just doesn't clock what it is.
No.
Like, what do you think it is?
Yeah.
Like, you seem to be in an established relationship where you live together, you have lots of sex, and a woman has something to tell you. What do you think it might be?
Yeah.
Hey, any guesses at all? No, you're just not going to think about it? Okay.
Yeah. You're being deported. I'm serving you. Also, how big was their house?
It was massive, wasn't it?
There's just the two of them, and he's like a police officer. Their house is
They must be planning kids. Why is this a surprise to him? Why does he not realise?
Yeah, but it's such a large house. It's ever so large, but it also looks kind of dilapidated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was weird how big the house was. So he leaves his wife in the house and is immediately set upon by folks. Like, he doesn't even step out the door, and they just pound him.
Yeah.
He gets beaten up, and as he's getting beaten up, a mysterious shadowy figure is in his bedroom and attacks his wife, and his wife is screaming and like trying to escape, and it's all very dramatic. And then JCVD gets shot twice. Like, they say, finish him off, and someone just like makes a quip and shoots him.
Yeah.
Doesn't go for a headshot.
Nope.
Many times in this movie, they just never try for a headshot.
Yep.
Apart from one time when they do it, it makes no sense. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, so he gets shot twice in the chest, and then the folks kind of run into the house, I guess. But he's not dead, of course, because then we get another classic action cliche where he sits up, and we get like his wife is literally being assaulted. Like, you can hear her screams of pain and terror. And he just very slowly, and I guess he's probably dazed from being shot twice, but he sits up and he takes the time to like pull off his tie and then open his shirt so we can see as the audience, oh, he's wearing a bulletproof vest, because we need to be shown that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he eventually gets up and starts going back into the house to save his wife, and then his house explodes, which really made me laugh. Just because it was so out of nowhere. Like,
Oh, yeah, it was.
yeah, like there's a home invasion that's very dramatic and scary, but then suddenly the house just explodes out of nowhere, and he gets blasted back.
Yeah.
Tickled me.
It looked good. I was thinking, like, for a low-budget film, this is
I don't think this is a low-budget film. I think money was spent on this.
Do you think?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, for the time it came out, I don't think it looks too cheap.
No.
It doesn't look amazing,
There's some
but
bits we'll get to.
there's certain scenes, but you've got to think the CGI in the 90s wasn't that great, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing with bulletproof vests, I'm here to spoil your little movie truths, is, yeah, they will stop a bullet. I'm not sure how well they do at close range, but it will just stop the bullet from, like, entering your body. It will still, I think, like, shatter your ribcage.
Oh, sure.
Like, you'd be severely damaged. He wouldn't be getting up.
Well, Harry, it would shatter your ribcage. This is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Sorry, yeah, I forgot.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is made of steel.
Yeah.
So, you know, the bulletproof was just he still would have survived. The bulletproof was just a bit of extra padding, you know. But yes, his wife is dead now. The explosion has killed his wife, and he's very sad. And then we cut another random time jump. We now cut to 1929. So this movie's all over the place time-wise. Yeah. Now it's 1929. It's Wall Street. It's the height of the Wall Street crash. There's stockbrokers jumping off buildings every other day, and we see a suspicious character walk into one of the main buildings and goes into his office, and he starts playing the stock market. He's like got a newspaper from 2004, and he's comparing the stocks from 2004 to 1929. So clearly he's one of these time criminals or time bandits, if you will. Yeah. So yeah, he's doing that. He's
I wonder if the stocks work enough that you could invest in something 80 years ago and you'd still make your money back.
I don't know. Yeah,
because I do wonder, like, do all these things that you invest in, do they still even exist now? Like, I know that a really good investment would be to go back to the 70s, invest in Apple.
Yeah,
you know, that's the biggest one now, isn't it? It's the most valuable company. So I don't know. I do just have to wonder. The things that you'd invest in the 20s, sure, they're going through a crash and they might go through a bit of a high in the 30s or something. I don't know. But are they still there now?
I just feel like there's got to be easier ways if you can time travel to make money. Like, just cheat on the lottery for a few weeks in a row, or you know, find the location of a really well-known oil field and go buy it. You know, just something like that. But they seem to be playing this very long game with stocks. So anyway, it turns out that this guy, who's clearly one of the criminals, is also JCVD's ex-partner. And so while he's in the middle of doing all of this, while listening to music on a mini disc, which I thought was a very funny 90s touch.
Such a specific era of the 90s.
Well, it's funny to me because it's obviously a signifier that, he's in the 20s, but he's listening to modern technology. Yeah. But the mini disc now looks just as dated as everything else. It's just dated in a different way. So
it was a little hard to pick out. Like, I was expecting it. Like, sure, this guy's from the future, I get it. Yeah. But what's he going to have that's going to give him away? And like, there's that, and he's got like a really old phone and some really old headphones, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think they had those things in the 20s.
Well, no, certainly not.
No. but I was just wondering, like, did they have any sort of headphone sort of thing? Like, sure, they didn't have a Walkman or a Discman or whatever that was, mini disc player. But like, did they have anything? Like, what from here is out of place? Because also, when I think of Wall Street kind of offices,
Yeah.
or like, high class offices in New York, that's the kind of look I expect now.
Sure, yeah.
Like this kind of old fashioned 20s look. Like, so it doesn't all look out of place. So yeah, some of it was just little like, pretty sure that's not right.
Yeah.
Weirdly, Louise couldn't get on board with this story. She's like, that's bullshit. They wouldn't have a phone back then. I was like, what? You're a time traveler, Louise. Come on.
Oh, but the phone he's using is, I don't know. Did they have phones in the 20s?
It was a mobile phone. That's one of the things I was questioning. Like, it was a fully wireless phone.
Oh, was it? I thought he had like a dial-up. I can't remember.
Oh, I could swear he picked out a wireless phone at one point.
Maybe, but I think the phone he used to call and make his stocks and shares was a wireless phone.
Yeah, that one was.
He probably had a mobile as well, although actually using a mobile in the 20s would make no sense because what signal are you using?
Yeah.
Who's your network provider in 1929?
Yeah.
So she's probably right, but whatever. And then JCVD shows up and tries to arrest him because he's a time cop now. This is JCVD we find out that this is JCVD 10 years after his wife has died.
Yeah.
So this is him, obviously in the 20s now. He's operating from the year 2004.
Yes. So this is a movie that is set in the future.
Yes.
Of when the film came out.
Yeah. That's it. It's a time travel film that spends most of its time in the present. Like it spends more time in 1994 than it does in 2004, I think.
Well, no, because it only starts in...
No, he goes back to 1994.
Oh, yeah. So that's...
It's like the future is the present, and the present is the past. Yeah, it's very convoluted. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to explain, but it's convoluted.
Yeah.
But I just love that he has, like, 1994 JCVD had, like, pretty standard hair. Like, it was a bit severe, but, looked like an army cut, but it was just, like, pretty standard.
Yeah.
2000...
Like, no one would look twice at that now.
No, not at all. No. 2004 JCVD, full mullet.
Yeah.
Full mullet.
Okay, so you've taken... Yeah, I'm talking from 1994. You've taken the present day haircut, ignored it, but then used it in the future as though fashion's not going to change.
Yeah.
It's like, you got it the wrong way around.
Exactly. It was like he looked more dated in the future than he did. Yeah. But yeah, so he rocks up.
Well, I guess that in the 90s, like, the mullet was on the way out.
It was, yeah. It was still, like, clinging on, but it was definitely...
So they were probably saying, like, our prediction of the future, the mullet's going to come back.
It's going to be all back around.
And, like, you know what? They're not wrong, but they're just off by a couple decades.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the mullet's back now, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Who's rocking a mullet?
Loads of... No, have you not seen... There's mullets around.
Are they? Okay.
You don't get out much, do you?
I watch TV. Who's rocking a mullet? Like a JCVD mullet?
I mean, not on TV. I just see people walking down the street and
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Fair enough. Fine. Oh, God.
I know. It's not good.
It's not a good look.
You know the bowl cuts back as well?
The bowl cut, that comes and goes.
Yeah.
I feel like the mullet is so specific, but okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So then JCVD shows up and tries to arrest his ex-partner. His ex-partner resists very strongly, shoots at him repeatedly. But of course, he brings in some 20s heavies who are hilarious. One of them is so cliched. He's this like middle-aged, like quite portly man who goes, "I did 10 rounds with Jimmy O'Sullivan, don't you know?" And JCVD just like kicks him in the face. Yeah. Brilliant. So he dispatches those two with absolute ease, and then he's got his partner, and he's like, "You're coming back with me. You're gonna have to come and confess your crimes."
Yeah.
And it turns out that the partner is...
Oh, yeah, it's his ex-partner, isn't it?
It's his ex-partner, like ex-cop partner.
Yeah.
So it turns out the partner has been working for this evil senator that we saw at the beginning of the film, Ron Silver. But he says he can't go back and testify because if he testifies, then the senator will have his entire family erased from history. So he's like, "It's my family, man. It's my family. I can't do it." But JCVD is like, "I've got no choice. I've got to bring you when you've got to testify."
That feels like a pretty harsh sentence. Like, did his family not exist beforehand? Is that why the time cops are trying to erase them? Or is it just a punishment? Is it like...
No. He's saying that the senator, the evil senator, if the partner who's working for the evil senator testifies against him, the senator will, as revenge...
Okay, I see. So...
the government's not going to destroy his family.
Got it. Sorry.
Yeah. Although the government are very harsh, as we learn shortly.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. But then, so anyway, so JCVD is going to bring him back, but then he's like, "I've got no choice." And the partner's like, "Well, neither do I." And the partner jumps out of a window, tries to commit suicide. Yeah. But JCVD jumps right after him, catches him midair, hits a button. They're both back in 2004.
Yeah.
Right as rain.
Yeah.
But then they get to 2004 and the partner refuses to testify and is immediately sentenced to death. Because this is a very harsh version of America we're living in.
Yep.
He's sentenced to death to be carried out immediately, no further questions, which seems suspect. And his method of execution is just to send him back to 1929.
So like exactly where he left.
And just finishes falling.
Yeah.
Which opens up such a huge can of worms. Because the whole point of this department is to stop crazy shit happening in the, that tampers with future timelines. What could tamper with the future more than some random guy falling out of the sky and crushing someone's car? Who knows what that's going to set off?
Yeah.
Like, just if you're going to be that mean and just like sentence, put him in the electric chair, shoot him, give him an injection. Don't don't send him back into the past to cause all kinds of havoc. But
no, that's definitely the butterfly effect. And
100%. Yeah. So yeah,
who knows what that car was destined to do?
Well, I mean, the driver could have been held up. Then he could have, like, God only knows.
Yeah, or maybe that car was going to drive down the street and kill someone who's now alive.
Exactly. There's any number of things. The delays it's going to cause to traffic. Like I say, butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now the partner's dead. JCVD now knows that the senator is crooked. He's bent. He's evil, but he has no proof because the only person who can testify is dead.
Yeah.
And then the senator turns up at the Department of Time Coppery, and it's clear that he's running for president, but he's running out of money. He's behind in the polls because he doesn't have enough money to finance his campaign.
Yeah.
But also he's trying to shut down the Timecop department.
Yeah.
Probably
I think he says something like, well, why are we just policing time travel? Why don't we just stop time travel? And it's like, yeah, well, that's easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, also he's clearly doing that.
To
cover his own tracks.
Because then if one person has a time machine, such as yourself, then there's no one to stop them.
Yeah. Well, that's clearly his evil scheme.
Yeah.
JCVD has like zero poker face as well. He's not. He just immediately is like, I know it's you. I've got no evidence, but I know it's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not good police work because
terrible.
now he's got like Ron Silver's out
onto
to get him.
him,
Immediately wants to destroy him.
Yeah.
So now the senator knows that he's onto him, and then JCVD goes back to his giant house. I think it's the same house, so clearly he rebuilt it at some point. It exploded.
Yeah, like it didn't just burn down. The whole thing exploded.
Yeah,
wood went everywhere. It's gone.
Nothing left. There's bits of his wife everywhere. Why would you want to live back in that house again? The memories.
Yeah. But no, it's the exact same house, completely rebuilt, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, should we talk a little bit about their vision of 2004?
Yeah, go on.
They didn't do as much with it as I would have hoped.
Well, like hoverboards and...
No, I mean, they didn't spend a lot of time in 2004, like I said. A lot of it's just in, like, dirty underground, like, buildings, so it doesn't really show you the world. But, I mean, they really got into the idea that we were going to have, like, speech, like, everything works with speech recognition. It's like TV on, which, fair enough, that's kind of...
Yeah.
We're kind of getting there.
Kinda, yeah.
It didn't happen as rapidly as people hoped, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
But also, I love the cars.
Oh, I love the car. Sorry, yeah, no, that's completely rebooted my memory of this film's 2004. This felt like Blade Runner light.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like all the cars, that I don't know why none of them seem to have windows. All the windows are completely boarded up. But also, I love that they actually they built one of these cars, or at least got a car and covered it up with stuff to make it this car.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make any sense. And is it self-driving?
It's a self-driving car. Yeah. Also, it just looks like they took a regular car and just covered it in Lego. It's got a Lego casing over the top of it. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. They did build one, but clearly they only built the one because every time there's a road scene, there's never more than one car on the road. It's almost like empty roads. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes back to his 2004 house, and he's obviously still very sad about his wife, even though it's been 10 years, and he's drinking whiskey and he's watching old home videos of them having sex, and he's doing all the talky bits. It's quite bizarre. And he falls asleep with his whiskey in hand. He's clearly showing he's very sad. He's still devastated by his wife's death. Character. And he's woken up by a home invasion by two would-be assassins who have been sent to his house to kill him. And these assassins are just, again, all the assassins in this movie, it's not just like some guy with a gun. It's always some crazy cartoon figure. So you've got an Asian knife fighter, and you've got a guy with a deadly taser, like an electric.
This to me, it feels like it's a Street Fighter or something like that.
Yeah, it feels like comic booky.
Yeah, like everyone has a character and a backstory, but we're not told any of that.
No,
that's what it feels like. It feels like we're just like these are characters that are supposed to have backstories. We're just not told what they are.
Yeah,
and they were not given enough to actually get interested in them. But everyone's unique enough. They're not just faceless goons.
I mean, it kind of makes the movie more fun.
I guess.
But I was just thinking, like, if the senator wants him dead, because clearly the senator sent these assassins. If the senator wants JCVD dead, send someone to break in and just like shoot him in the head while he sleeps.
Yeah.
Not like power up a very loud electronic taser gun and point at his head, and then obviously, considering he's probably quite hungover, he is incredibly nimble at this moment. He just leaps into action, does more martial arts.
I love how often it will be that somebody fires something directly at him, and then he notices and jumps out of the way before the bullet or the taser things can actually get to him.
Oh yeah, that's
how quick
he is so fast. Yeah. But I would agree with what you said earlier. I think one thing about the way he fights JCVD is it all feels very choreographed because it is like mixed martial arts. So it didn't feel very. I enjoyed the scenes, but they didn't, and it's very physically impressive what he does. But it didn't feel very like organic. It didn't feel very like improvised. It wasn't like, oh god, he's dodging real bullets. It's like they are doing a dance. They are fully doing a dance. The knife fights are in him, and it's very, very, very choreographed. But yeah, he obviously outpunches the knife fighter, and then the taser guy shoots at him. And first he puts the knife fighter in front, so the knife fighter gets all the electricity, which is like 50,000 volts or something. So he gets fried basically. Yeah. And then GCVD is knocked down, but also his conveniently placed water bottle is knocked down. Like his water. It's like he's got an office-sized water. You know, you get
a water cooler.
Water cooler, yeah. Which I don't know why I'd need one just if you live on your own, but sure. No. His water cooler falls onto the ground and is like pumping water onto the floor, which I guess Taser Guy hasn't seen. Because then Taser Guy's like 50,000 volts, motherfucker. Say goodnight. Fires it at him, and this is when JCVD does his most impressive. Like from lying on the floor. I mean, they cut away, so I don't think he actually did this, but I was. The idea of this shot of this move really impressed me. He's lying like horizontally on the floor, like just winded. He leaps into the air and lands in a perfect split on his kitchen countertop. Yeah. So the taser hits where his body was, which is now just a puddle of water, which is also landed at the taser guy's feet. Yeah. The taser guy is, of course, electrocuted to death. Yes. It's a fantastically hilarious shot. I loved it.
It really is. Because it's out of nowhere.
It's so out of nowhere.
It's so unexpected. It's like, what? Sorry, he can do that?
Yeah. I guess that's the first time he does like a full split, isn't it? Like he's had some fights before. That's the first like, whoa, like, yeah.
Yeah. I'd kind of like to have seen a bit more of that, sort of like in maybe him like training or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because
it never explains why he has these skills.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's never shown that he's a particularly nimble man other than when he's literally fighting for his life. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see him like just in a gym or something, just doing some ridiculous stuff. I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, a bit of like. I guess this is what JCVD did in all his films.
Or to just say like he's an ex-ballet dancer or something like that. Like that's why he's so nimble.
Well, it's the same with Schwarzenegger. They very rarely reference why he's so obscenely big. You know, like it's just like, oh yeah, he's always like, you know, house dad. Yeah, you know, like, who just happens to look like that. You know, like, it's just one of those things. You just have to go with it. Yeah. So yeah. So he survives that, but when he gets back into work the next day, he is assigned to a new partner who's from the Bureau of Federal Affairs or something, who's like supposed to be like, he's very resistant to this. She's clearly supposed to be watching him and to kind of keep him in line because I think the reasoning they give at this point is that because his ex-partner who was in the 1920s turned out to be bent, turned out to be crooked, they've assigned him a new partner to make sure he's not also crooked. Right. So she's kind of keeping an eye on him. Yeah. Yeah, so I believe this lady's in ER.
Yeah, Jeannie Boulet.
Jeannie Boulet, okay, cool.
She's my favourite.
Oh, really? Well, you got an extra bit of Jeannie Boulet for this out for you.
Yeah. So. I loved the introduction to this because first of all, he just straight away doesn't like her. He won't really talk to her or anything. And so he marches into his boss's office. And this office is like glass walled, glass doors. It's pretty fancy. And he walks in. She's right behind him as though like they're walking in as a pair. Yeah. And I just love the way that he just slams the door in her face and she fully face plants the door.
It's so petty.
It really is, but it's just hilarious. It's like, oh, that's so degrading, but it's so funny.
And he just keeps doing it. It's like 4 times she tries to get in.
And I love how she just gets more and more annoyed with it. It's brilliant. Yeah. I don't know why I enjoyed it so much, but it's just...
No, I found it funny. I would have liked more of like a double act between the two of them, but that's not where the movie went in the end. So yeah, he really was...
I'm glad they didn't get too romantic with it.
No, that didn't. Well, he has only... His heart belongs to his dead wife, Harry. Yeah. There's nobody else for him, even though she's been dead for 10 years. Yeah. Nobody else. But yeah, he's very resistant to having this partner, but his boss is like, suck it, you got to deal with it. You know, rules are rules. And the two of them get assigned to a new case. And I don't know what this case was. This is where the movie gets super convoluted. So they get assigned to some case, which means they have to go back to 1994 again. So him and his partner, they go back. And it's the first time she's been back in time. So she's really scared. Yeah. And we find out now that in order to go back in time, you need to get into this car thing that's strapped to a...
I'm not sure how I feel about this.
So you have to get into a car that's kind of on a metallic runway. Yeah. and it goes super fast. You're strapped in.
Yeah.
It goes super fast.
Yeah.
And many people, apparently, if it goes wrong, you get splattered onto the walls and you die. that's just the
And they
risk you
don't
take.
clean off the blood.
And they just leave the blood,
Yeah.
Unless that's just there as a joke. I don't know. You don't know that that's true, what he says
true,
to it. But
yeah.
because she's obviously very nervous. And then it throws you into the past.
Mm-hmm.
The car doesn't come with you.
No.
I guess the car just stops. You get flung into the past.
Yep.
And then you just kind of land where you land.
Yeah.
And in this case, they land like in a lake.
or something,
In another scene when he lands in the past, he's on a motorway and he has to do an emergency split to avoid
Oh,
himself being run over, which I thought was amazing. But it's really random. But once they're in the past, if they want to go back to the present again, they just push a button and it's like they're beaming up. Like
And they push a button and it like opens a wormhole in front of them, which if they're falling off a
And it's
building,
so
that's good.
smooth.
And it's like that, and they walk through this wormhole, and then they appear sitting down in this moving car thing.
Yeah, why is going back so much harder than going forward? It made no
it's-
sense.
It's weird. And one thing that is also a bit of a loophole,
A plot hole?
is that one of the times when they go back, they go to the past, they make some changes or whatever, and they come back, and this time thing is being defunded, and so it's all being deconstructed and they're like,
Decommissioned,
right, yeah. And so like, well, we're taking this thing apart now. Like you're the last ones to come back. Like, well, what if they already had taken it apart?
Yeah.
Like the whole rails with the car and the receiving pad for the time thing, would they just be stuck in the past? What would be the deal there?
Well, yeah, I don't. Do you need the same technology to get back that you need to go forward? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the car?
Well, I guess so, because you arrive where you left from.
Did they arrive back in the car though?
Yeah, they did.
Were they like sitting in the car?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you'd be stuck then. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, so if it is that situation where they're decommissioning this whole thing,
Yeah.
the people who are, just operating it, why do they think that they sent Jean-Claude Van Damme back in time? If it's already being decommissioned and stuff like that, it doesn't make any sense.
No, you're right. It doesn't.
And this also comes to at the end, like, so jumping to the very end now, when he comes back and like his wife's alive,
Yeah.
and they've got a son who's like 10 or something like that, because obviously she was pregnant at the start, and they're like, oh yeah, this is great, and like, great, now I love my son, I'm gonna go and play baseball with him and stuff like that. You don't have any memory of the last 10 years.
Oh no, that son is going to be in so much therapy. Like,
yeah, like.
Also,
it's because she just comes out and says, so how was your day? And he just says like, oh yeah, it's great and whatever. Anyway, he's really happy to see her alive and stuff like that. He's having that reaction. But also like, I don't have the same memories as you for the last 10 years. I'm a different man.
Also, what happened to the other version of him? Because when he went back to the past, there's two of him.
Yeah.
So when he comes back to the future, is he not going to meet the other version? When are they going to
No, because that version would have been sent back in time at some point and then just come back with this guy's memories. It's weird, right?
It's confusing. Let's put a pin in this because I've got many other questions about the very end,
All
but
right.
we're not there yet. But
All right.
I agree, it's a lot of it leaves more. It asks more questions than it answers for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, the two of them go back to 1994 for some reason, and they end up overhearing a conversation with the younger version of the evil senator, the 1994 version, who at this point is just like a junior senator, and he's planning to sell this microchip thing, and then his older version comes from 2004 and tells him, look, don't sell this, hold on to it, it's going to be worth billions. And then I guess, well, this is a time crime. This is the senator committing a time crime.
Yeah.
So then JCVD and the lady from ER try to arrest the senators. I guess the future senator's getting arrested. But it turns out that ER lady is a double agent and she betrays JCVD. She's on the senator's side, it turns out. And then there's a whole fighty. Lots happens. Like, guy gets his arm randomly frozen.
Oh, I love that.
That was great. That was
Yeah.
like the kind of action nonsense you want.
Yeah.
Because like something gets I think the time machine or something, like it starts like leaking nitrous acid or like
Oh, this has
nitrous.
nothing to do with the time machine. This is all about the microchip. Like he says like he's made this super cold technology or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like everything's just really cold. So when a pipe splits or something, it's just spurting out this super cold. Let's just say it's liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, it's basically liquid nitrogen for all
Yeah.
intents and purposes, yeah.
And this guy just stands in it for a second, and like his whole right arm and some of his chest and torso, it's just like completely frozen. Van Damme just kicks him, and all that stuff just bursts into a million pieces. And this guy just has like this weird sort of glowy, Like his body, he's basically been ripped in half.
Yeah.
But like his body's just sort of like glowing and with weird CGI stuff.
Yeah, it looked great. I loved it.
Yeah, it didn't look like his body had just been snapped in half.
Oh no, because if that was what it looked like, his organs would be falling out.
It looked like he'd been shot with a phaser.
Yeah.
It was weird. And then he just kicks him over the side into this weird white, I don't know what it was, thing that was being built. So I don't know.
It was great. So the senator makes his escape. The 2004 senator, he escapes. He betrays ER lady and shoots her twice. I guess to tie up loose ends. So he doesn't want anyone who knows what is going on. And then he escapes back into the 2004 and he says, JCVD, you better stay here because if you come back, I'll kill you. But JCVD obviously does follow him back into 2004. And now he's doubly convinced that what he knows now, the senator is fully on an evil scheme. And now, that's it. So now he comes back into 2004, but it's a different 2004. Now, instead of the senator being like a broke politician who's failing in his run for presidency, now he's about to win the biggest majority of all time because he's a super billionaire and he's funded this incredible campaign.
Yeah. And this is when the Time Commission's being
and also
defunded.
the Timecop Commission is being decommissioned and everyone's being shut down. And he's like, shit, I need to stop this from happening right away. So he figures out he needs to stop the senator, obviously. And the only way he can do that, because he needs somebody else who can testify against the senator. And he decides that the only other person who can possibly testify is ER lady. And he's like, what if she survived? I'm like, that seems unlikely. She got shot in the head.
Yeah.
She did get shot in the head, right?
I'm pretty sure. I was a little unsure, but I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah, it's like once in the head and then once in the chest. Yeah. But he's like, oh no, maybe she's alive, so I need to go back again. So then he goes back to 1994 again. So much jumping around.
Yep.
And he goes to the hospital. He finds the hospital where she is being treated. It sounds like he's right. She has survived. And he convinces her to testify against the senator. But then before he can do anything else, she gets assassinated. Like very quickly.
Yeah.
He leaves the room for a second, comes back, she's dead.
Yeah.
When he leaves the room, he goes to, I guess, check some blood work. And he accidentally stumbles upon his wife's pregnancy test, which is next to a murder victim, like an assault victim with a completely different surnames.
Yeah.
It's literally like,
what are the chances?
Yeah, because the thing is the ER lady is referred to as Jane Doe, which is what they call unidentified. If you're an unidentified person in a crime or a hospital, you have a John Doe or Jane Doe. It's just like what they use. But his name is like Max Walker, so his wife is going to be called, I don't know, Mel Walker, whatever it is, you know.
Sure, yeah.
So Jane Doe, why would a pregnancy test or a pregnancy blood test be next to someone who's been shot 2 times? Also, why would they be next to each other with completely different surnames? It's literally like they're right next to each other. That's the only way he finds it.
Yeah.
Because also, he's back on he's back on like within a couple of days of his wife's death, and he never mentions it at this point.
Yeah.
He's not like, oh man, October 1994, this is when my wife died.
Because like they talk about the date a lot. Like it's Jeannie from ER's birthday the next day, and that comes up a lot. Like they talk about that loads, even though there's no reason. No. Like I was really expecting like, so she's gonna go and like see her birthday party or something, and like have a little chat with younger self, but no, nothing like that at all.
No,
which you know, could have been really good for some sort of character development for her.
No, I mean, that would have added more time to this movie. And I do appreciate this movie is a 90-minute movie.
Yeah,
it doesn't
absolutely
waste any time. But
they could have made her a bigger character.
They could, yeah.
And like her having a reason to go back to her birthday and like maybe speaking with her like mum, who, you know, to add some more plot, like maybe her mum was murdered or something, and like speaking with her mum and like trying to set things right there. Maybe a dodgy relationship that she fixes or something. I don't know. Yeah, just something else. A little scene there could have been really nice, talking about her birthday, because they spent so much time talking about her birthday. But yeah, then he never talks about, oh, and this is also the day. Oh, really? It's your birthday tomorrow? That's the day that my wife died.
Yeah,
my wife was brutally murdered while I was like getting shot out in the garden. What do you know?
It's like him finding this pregnancy test reminds him, oh yeah, this is when my wife died. Yeah. It's so weird. So then he goes to the mall from the beginning of the movie, and we get like you said before, the same sequence happens again, and he approaches like 2004 version, like full mullets, approaches his wife and like grabs her and says
from behind again.
Grabs her from behind again. Clearly, that's his thing.
But it's not even. He doesn't even try it in a romantic way. I forget exactly what he says, but he's like, "Don't scream."
Yeah, that's a great way to relax someone.
Yeah.
But then he grabs her and she turns around and she goes, "Who are you?"
Yeah. What?
He has the same face.
I get it. Like he's got a mullet now.
That's the only difference.
And like he's supposed to look 10 years older, but he doesn't.
Like again, if you were shopping with Louise and you went somewhere, you went for like a different shop, you know, and you came back 10 minutes later with a full mullet, do you think Louise would say, "Who are you?" or she'd be like, "Hey Harry, what's with the mullet?" Yeah. Like, did you go to a wig shop? Like, because he doesn't look like so much older.
No.
If it'd been like 30 years and he's like in full age makeup, but it's not. It's just him with a mullet.
But like also if somebody came up behind you and said, you know, like don't scream and like, they covered your eyes or whatever, I don't know what he did. If I said, like, hey, I'm talking to you, would you be like, "Who are you?" Assuming it is actually a random person.
Yeah.
Or would you be like, "Get away from me. Don't
What
like,
are you doing?
Like, why do you creep up behind me and say, "Don't scream"? What's wrong? Who are you?
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah.
Like
No, she's just like, "Who are you? I don't recognize you at all." Like,
you wouldn't stop and have a conversation with a random stranger who creeps up behind you.
well, I mean, she doesn't have much choice. He's very big, but
He's not holding her down though at this
no.
point.
I mean, anyway. She's like, "I don't know who you are," and he's like, "It's me. It's your husband."
Yeah.
From 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
And
She's on board.
she's on board straight.
Yeah.
She goes from like complete non-recognition to being like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't understand what his plan was here. Because it's not like
From this the point where I'm out.
You lost it, yeah.
I have no idea what's going on anymore, and I almost lose the ability to care.
yeah, sure. I understand that.
Yeah.
It gets very convoluted. Well, not so much convoluted. It gets very kind of vague at this point because you'd think. So it's the day when his house exploded. That's the only way. It's the only way I can describe it. So you'd think if he's going to warn her and make her aware of this, he'd be like, even if he doesn't want to tell her that she's dead, because clearly that's not something a person wants to hear.
No.
So he's like, he doesn't say like go to a safe space. He doesn't tell her to do anything. He just says, "Don't tell young me that old me's around," and that's all he says to her. And then he like lets her go again.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the house on the night of the house explosion.
Well, I guess that he doesn't want to change time and then become a time criminal himself.
Well, he is going to because he's stopping her from being killed.
Okay.
Don't try and understand.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
worth it. But so
I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No, he could have done so many things, but instead 2004 JCVD goes to the house in 1994 and he waits basically. And then the events from the beginning of the film play out again.
Yeah.
Young JCVD gets a phone call. He has to leave. She tells him not to. He says he's got to. But before he can do that, the criminals arrive, ready to beat him up. And old JCVD ambushes the criminals and beats the shit out of them. Mm-hmm. And then he tells the wife, he says, just keep young JCVD upstairs. Don't let him come down and get involved in all this shit.
Yeah.
So then the wife just goes like, "I'm pregnant." And young JCVD has no reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
None whatsoever. He hugs her, but not in like a, "Oh my God, you're pregnant, I'm so excited" hug.
Yeah.
He just kind of goes, "Eh."
Yeah.
It's such a not half-hearted hug. Like,
Yeah. Can you imagine being that woman? And just saying like that amazing news that is told in a very good news kind of way, and like the man just has no reaction whatsoever. You'd be like, "What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Are you not feeling anything about this? Good or bad? Nothing?
Yeah.
Come on, something. Give me anything. This is a big thing for me.
I don't think joy is in Jean-Claude Van Damme's range of emotions, unfortunately.
No.
Yes, I think they're just like, "Well, just do what you can." Yeah.
Yep.
But then then I have to say this next 10-minute sequence is going to be hard for me to summarize because it was not only was it confusing, it was so dark.
Yeah, so this was the peak of me being like, I don't care about this at all because so there's a couple of goons that come in the house.
Yeah.
It's the same couple of goons from earlier. The man with the most ridiculous mullet in the world.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that at all?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot. I mean, it's hard to top JCVD's mullet, but he definitely went there. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, so there's at least a couple of goons.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be the senator is going to be in there.
He shows up at some point. Yeah.
There's two versions of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
And everything is in basically pretty much pitch black.
It's like that one episode of Game of Thrones. Do you remember when they did that big battle and nobody could see what the fuck was going on? It was super confusing. It's like that level of dark.
Yeah. And it wasn't just that I couldn't see what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. And like there were all these fights happening. Like sometimes you'd see something, but it would be in silhouette. And I could never work out who anybody was. And like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that like young Jean-Claude Van Damme's probably going to get beat up in this. The old one's probably going to win in some form. So whenever there's a fight on screen between two people, it's like, I've no idea who these two people are.
I couldn't see who was fighting. No.
Like, I can maybe make out who's winning this fight, but that doesn't help me with who it could be. One of them could be Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I don't know which one.
Yeah, the wife ends up on the roof, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
How did she get there?
Yeah, like, and what is she hoping to achieve by getting on the roof? She's pregnant.
Yeah, hiding maybe? I don't know. But like, it's the worst place to hide, because if someone finds you,
And
you're screwed.
It's driving rain.
Yeah, it's going to be slippy as hell.
Yeah.
It's not a gradual roof, it's very steep.
It's a very old palatial mansion. Yeah, it's a big, so
Clearly made of TNT as well.
Yeah, all this shit's going down. Ultimately, I think what happens is that young JCVD ends up getting knocked out. He's kind of unconscious in the garden.
Yeah.
Then the wife is back in the house. Old JCVD manages to beat up most of the goons.
Sure.
But then the senator turns up. 2004 future senator turns up.
Yeah.
And he grabs the wife, and he's also got a bomb, which is the same bomb that blew up the house in the original, at the beginning of the movie, but we didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, here's what's going to happen.
Which then means that, so at in the original version of this scene, does that mean that the senator was there and he died? And he killed himself along with Van Damme's wife, and presumably at that point the future Van Damme.
I guess.
Is that what happened there? Because then does that mean that there's like multiple realities going on? Because also in this one, it doesn't add up with the originals. Because young Van Damme doesn't get shot twice in the chest.
No,
that's not a thing. That doesn't happen. But the goons with the bad haircuts are there because they're the ones you shoot them in the chest initially. So like, is this just causing a new reality each time they jump back in time? Or
I have absolutely no idea.
It's so strange.
It's very, I think the writing really got away from them on this one. It's hard with a time travel movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the senator's like, yeah, I'm going to blow us all up, but because the young me is still alive.
Because like when also they, at the start they say like, we can't go to the future because it hasn't happened yet. Well, there's people from the future that have already come back to shoot Van Damme twice in the chest, so the future has happened yet. Mm-hmm. So, come on.
You just can't move forwards, I guess.
Yeah, sure. They've got the tech to go back, but not forward. Fine, I'll accept that. But there's something up here.
There's a lot of problems, yeah. But yeah, the senator's like, it's okay. I don't mind if I die, but as long as young me survives, he'll become the president. Yeah. I'm like, but then is he not going to just come and die at the same age as you? Is this just a constant circle?
If it's a constant circle, then yeah, I guess. But clearly it's not.
And in which case, then the senator doesn't win because he doesn't get to be president and he dies in a random house explosion at the age of 40, whatever.
Yeah.
How's that a victory?
Yeah. I don't know, but that does seem like what he planned to do.
Yeah.
Because in this final version of it, the house doesn't explode, does it?
Yes, it does.
Does it?
The house fully explodes.
Oh, yeah, they run out of it at the last minute. Got it.
Yeah. So the old version of the senator, 2004 senator, has the wife.
Yeah.
Young JCVD is unconscious in the garden. Yeah. Old JCVD comes upstairs and he's like, and the senator's like, don't move. I've got your wife. This bomb's going to go off. We're all going to die. Mm-hmm. It's checkmate. I win.
Yeah.
But then the 1994 version of the senator turns up.
Yeah.
And old senator's like, what the hell are you doing here? Because if young senator dies,
I love that the young version of senator is just a dumbass.
Yes. I thought this was like a really good acting choice. That they are genuinely completely different characters. Yeah. Like he's obviously been on a whole journey this 10 years and become a lot more hardcore. Yeah. Because the young one's just like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. And then old senator's like, what the hell are you doing here? And young senator's like, what? You left me a message. And he's like, no, I didn't, you idiot. And then Jean-Claude Van Damme's like, I left the message. I've got to hear that message. Yeah. Like, how did like this unless like JCVD's very good at doing voices, like how did like this thickly accented Belgian leave a message like, hey, come to this random house, don't ask questions, and the senator's just like, okay.
Because he's that dumb.
By the way, I am the future you.
Yeah. I don't know.
I love it.
I love the dumb senator in this.
He was such a putz.
It's great. It's a really good idea for a villain, really, to make the villain really evil and menacing and smart, and he knows what's going on, but he's just interacting with his past self who he hates, and he's like, stop eating so much shit. Like, come on, look at me, I'm getting really fat, this is your fault.
I enjoyed the villainy. I thought Ron Silver was great in this movie. I really did. I thought he did some great villainy work, and it was really fun.
You know, usually I hate doing things more than once, but in this case I don't see any other option. I do. What are you doing here? What do you mean? You called me. Left a message with the Senate operator. I didn't leave any message, you fucking idiot.
Don't argue among yourself. I left it. No, nobody's got a future.
Okay. This is a real mess now. I hope you're happy. This is a real mess. You turned what was going to be a simple, ordinary murder into a bloodbath.
Yeah, so then the old senator's like, no, you can't be here, because if you die, then it's all over.
Yeah.
And then old JCVD makes a sign to his wife that she needs to, like, elbow the old senator in the crotch or something. So she does that. There's a moment of confusion. The gunshots going off. And then JCVD throws young senator...
Pause. There is a bit, I think, where there's gunshots going off or something, where the wife, she gets shot, like, through the shoulder. Or, like,
I thought that happened too.
Like, it's not quite through the shoulder. It's more sort of slightly through the chest, which is obviously more risky.
Yeah.
And, like, it never comes up again.
No, I was like...
It's never mentioned. And to jump ahead a minute, when Jean-Claude Van Damme, like, takes her out of the house, he's running with her in her arms or whatever, and then just puts her down on the ground, and, like, he obviously will just disappear into the night and go back to the future or whatever. So is he just leaving a pregnant woman who has been shot in the chest just out on the garden, just next to another knocked out man?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think's going to happen now?
I had the same question.
Because there's no guarantee that she's going to live. Like, in all timelines that we've seen so far, she has not lived.
Yeah.
She has always died. So you make sure that pregnant woman is going to live. Come on.
I agree.
And also, if someone's knocked out, which the young version of him is, if they're not getting any oxygen to their brain for, more than like 10 seconds, they will get permanent brain damage. That's the thing that films never...
They don't know. I mean, that's...
Never address.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's really odd how he just leaves them. But yeah. So... Yeah, so
she's shot in the chest.
Yeah, I know. I was like, she's been through it. How the fuck she's not miscarried? Like, she's fallen off a roof. She's been attacked. She's been flung around left, right, and center, and then she gets shot and left in the rain. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, the wife elbows the old senator, gets shot herself. There's all this confusion. In the confusion, JCVD throws young senator into old senator.
Yep.
And apparently they've set this up many times before. The two same people, if they're in the same time.
Well, it was Chekhov's time travel rule.
Very much, because they mention it so much. Yeah, they say it like 5 times.
I guess they only mentioned it once.
No, they say it a few times. Like matter can't be in the same place.
Yeah.
Basically, because the young and the old version.
They give no reason for.
No, it's just the rules of this universe.
Yeah.
Because they can't touch. If you are in the same time zone as a younger or older version of yourself, you must not touch them. If you do, the matter is in the same place. It causes all this crazy shit. It basically what happens is, old senator and young senator collide, and they turn into claymation. Did you ever see that show, The Trapdoor? That really old BBC show? I don't know. They turn into this weird like jelly pasta monster thing.
Reminded me more of The Thing.
The Thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was hilarious because also it was so shit.
It was terrible. It looked awful. But it was so like this. It was so random as well. I was like, this is what's happening?
Yeah. They just kind of melt into a pool of CGI that just disappears into nowhere. It didn't make any sense, and it looked terrible. I loved it.
It was fantastic. I loved it too. So then old JCVD picks up the wife, takes her out of the house just in time, just with seconds to spare. The whole house explodes once again, knocking them to the ground. But he then puts her down very tenderly next to young JCVD, who is still passed out, and he goes back to 2004.
Yes, and that's it.
Yeah.
And going back to 2004, he arrives back in a time travel thing, and all like his old bosses are there and everything, and he's, for them it's just like a normal day, and and he's like, wow, what are you doing here? Just because like last time he saw his boss was getting shot dead or whatever, because that thing was all getting defunded and stuff. I was like, what are you doing? How is all this? This doesn't make any sense. What are you all doing alive? Like, Van Damme, was this not the plan?
Yeah, I thought that's it. Like this department's entire job is to like fix the timeline.
Yeah,
and yet every time, because his boss does it too a few times. Every time anyone says something like, "Oh, that senator's been dead for years," you're like, "You're crazy."
Yeah,
it's like surely this must happen. This is supposed to be like built into the job.
Yeah,
things are going to happen that will make no sense to you because the timelines are going to change a lot. Like,
and I don't know. I don't know what to say, but like none of it made any sense.
No. That could be the tagline of this movie. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah. And like also him just speaking to his boss or whatever and saying, so where's that senator at? Is he running for president? No, he died 10 years ago.
He disappeared 10 years ago, yeah.
Who remembers... Like,
when a random senator disappeared, yeah. I guess he works for the government. It would have been a big story if a senator disappeared. And like never came back. That'd be a memorable thing to happen.
Is a senator like an MP?
It's a high profile MP, yeah. Like there's only 50 of them in America. There's one for each state in America.
Oh, I thought they were governors.
Or maybe there's 2. No, there's 2 for each state in America.
Right.
Yeah, so they're pretty big deal. Like most of them are pretty famous. So
Yeah.
like, if a senator disappeared, it'd be quite a big news.
Okay,
So,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, he goes back to 2004 and all is right with the world. The senator disappeared 10 years ago. He did not become the evil president. The department's still up and running. Lady from ER has survived. Although, how did she stay alive?
Well, because she was shot twice, but she was in... I don't know.
Because the whole point is that if
she
you
was murdered
die...
in hospital.
Yeah. She died in the past, so she should still be dead.
Yeah, she should.
She really should still be dead. I don't understand how she's suddenly back alive again.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
Not even in the ridiculousness of this movie.
No.
Like, she actually died.
Yeah.
And time has not been changed since.
No.
Don't
Well,
know
anyway,
if
she's still alive because you want a happy ending.
that is an actual plot hole. It's not just bad time.
Oh, is that
writing.
that's the only plot hole? That's the only one you found.
The other ones are just bad time travel writing.
Sure,
that
yeah.
one feels like even within the rules of this ridiculous universe,
It makes no sense.
It doesn't
yeah.
work.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so she's still alive. He drives his automated Lego car back home again.
Yep.
And meets his now 10-year-old son for the first time.
Yeah.
Which I thought must be very awkward.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the kid's name.
Oh God, yeah.
He knows nothing about this child.
Doesn't know his name.
Doesn't remember any of the first 10 years of his life.
No.
So like I said, what happened to the younger version of him?
Yeah. Well,
Did they just meld at some point?
that younger version of so this is another bit that doesn't make any sense, but they're just never really addressed. So the younger version of him, I guess, would still work for the Timecop agency, and will have gone to work, and for some reason would have been sent back in time.
Yeah.
Around that time in 2004, some unknown reason, completely unknown, and would come back as this guy.
Right.
I guess.
But with the memory of having the child.
Well, he initially had that memory of having the child, but came back as the Jean-Claude Van Damme that we see throughout the majority of this film.
With no memory of the
With
child.
no memory of the child. So, yeah.
So the timeline's repaired, but he still doesn't have that memory.
I guess, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I still don't get it, but fine. Also, what about the wife?
Unless there are actually 2 versions.
Yeah, well, I think there'd be 2 versions.
In which case, that makes a way more interesting sequel.
It does, yeah. I didn't go there, but yeah. Also, the wife surely remembers all this. She'd remember like a time 10 years ago when she ran into a 10 years older version of her husband who rescued her.
Yeah. No, she would, yeah.
So surely the first thing he should say when he comes back home and greets his child for the first time is, she's like, oh, how was your day? He's like, interesting. He should be like, okay, so this is actually me. I'm back.
Yeah.
This is the me that saved you 10 years ago. I don't know. What the fuck happened to your husband? He's gone in the timeline.
Yep.
It's me now. Like,
oh, I remember when they did that in Star Trek once. When like they have a big time travel episode, they go back to like the 1800s or something in America, and Guinan's there, but like she's not time traveled. She's just because she's really old, isn't she?
Sure, yeah.
And then they have this whole adventure, and then they, at the end of the episode, when they get back in the 24th century or something, Picard goes down to 10 forward and just sits in front of Guy, and he's just like, now I have those memories or something, and they just have this look, just like, now we're both on the same lines.
Okay, yeah, this film just doesn't touch on that at all.
No.
Very weird.
God,
And also,
Star Trek's good. I really need to rewatch that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, they're doing we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Also, the house has been rebuilt, but whatever. Yet again, still in this goddamn house.
I mean, I guess if everything worked out in the end, why not rebuild the house?
Sure.
If you've got the money.
Yeah, and clearly they do somehow. Yeah. This Timecop repays exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Because what does she do for a living? Make birdhouses? That's all we know.
I don't know. It's not important. She's just there to be dead or not be
dead. To be the wife, basically. Yeah. So, but yeah, and then the credits roll, and that's the end of Timecop.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
It is a good time. Yeah.
I'm glad I picked this. I'm glad we switched from my original choice, which would have been a lot more confusing.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. I didn't watch it. I don't know what it is, but
I watched it. I was like, it's okay, but I don't think. If you ever really want to see many, many gratuitous shots of Bruce Willis's arse, then I would recommend watching it. Otherwise, not so much.
Great. Yeah. So just man arse. That's the theme for this week.
I didn't mean to go from one to the other, but yeah, there was a lot of naked Bruce Willis arse in that film. Yeah.
Great. All right, drinking games?
Yes, and this is a good one for drinking games, I think. Do you want to go first?
Drink when he jumps.
I definitely had I drink for high kicks, and I also had a separate drink for emergency splits.
Yeah, I had that too.
It's a lot of emergency splits. The best one is probably when he jumps onto his kitchen counter, just because it comes out of nowhere and it's such a bizarre moment. But the one where he time jumps in front of a big lorry and just splits underneath it. That really tickled me. It really made me laugh.
Yeah. Yep. No, I love that one too. I've also got drink whenever somebody shoots at him.
Yes.
I was going to say whenever somebody shoots at him and misses, but same thing.
Same thing, yeah. He never gets hit. So.
He gets shot so often at such close range.
Yeah.
And he never gets. Never
Well, he
gets
does
grazed.
get hit he gets hit in the chest those couple of times, but the bullet.
But
vest takes it. Yeah, but other than that, yes, he's a dancer. You know, he just dances his way out of it.
Yeah.
I had drink for gratuitous nudity. This movie feels porny in places.
It really does.
So there's the sex scene with his wife.
Yeah.
And there's also a scene with a guy who I really thought was Matthew Lillard again, but it turns out it's not.
Yeah, no, I got that too.
Yeah. Where there's a guy in the time coppery department who I guess runs the machinery. Just a random, it's a hard cut from like a random boring conversation to just fully naked, full frontal naked lady just like doing beckoning, you know, come here for kind of stuff. So it turns out that this guy who runs the machinery is just watching VR porn in the office. So
I like how, so in this, he's just like this weird nerd who's just into porn and he doesn't keep himself very neat or anything like that. And then like Van Damme goes and time travels and then he comes back and the time agency is much slicker and everything. And this guy now, he's like a high-class German.
Yeah.
with like well-kept straight hair, but it's the same guy.
Yeah. I thought that was a fun detail.
Yeah, it was good.
But I was just like, when he gets caught with the VR porn and the boss goes, how many times do I have to tell you, Larry? Like, how often is this guy just like wanking in the office? Like, it seems like a sackable offence.
Yeah. Oh dear, I don't know. Drink for smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz? You mean like the sex soundtrack noise? Yeah. Just that saxophone. That really tickled me. That soft 90s saxophone. I loved it. Okay. Drink for clunky expositional dialogue.
Oh, yeah, big time.
This is a big one for like everything stopping just so characters can just explain stuff. Or
yeah. On a similar line, I've got drink whenever a time traveler doesn't understand the basics of what's going on.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
But yeah, like it really does just do a hard stop. Right, now we're going to explain time travel, or we're going to explain what exactly is going on with this president.
Yeah. I liked how just at the very end, before he flings young senator into the old senator and they become like the weird CGI monster, he, even though we've heard it before, JCVD just says again, matter can't exist in the same place. Remember? Just in case you forgot, this is why this is happening. Like, really tickled me.
You two should be closer.
Keep him away from me.
Same matter can occupy same space. I'm still kicking. I must be on Broadway.
Drink for mullets.
Oh yeah.
Drink every time that mullet. I think this is when the wife meets old JCVD, and she's like asking him who he is, and then he says, "I'm me from 10 years in the future," and she's like, "Am I still alive?" I think that should have been the giveaway. She should have been, when she saw that mullet. Yeah, she should have been like, "Oh, he's growing that. Clearly, I'm not in the picture anymore." I would never have allowed this. I am dead. Oh dear.
Yeah, great. I think it's the last one I've got. Drink for bad special effect.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, it's not as bad as it could be for the time.
No, it's not. You're right.
I've seen much worse, you know.
But when they're bad, they're really
when they're bad, they're horrid. Yeah. But, yeah. Okay. Drink for half-hearted pun work.
Oh yeah.
Because again, like I said, JCVD, he just isn't a Schwarzenegger. The lines are there, but he doesn't sell them. There's a bit, you know, when the guy who gets his arm frozen.
Yeah.
So when he gets his arm frozen, JCVD has a tagline where he says, I thought he just said, "Have a nice day," because he just kind of mumbles it. He just kind of goes, "Have a nice day," and then he like kicks him into, and he dies.
Did he say "Have an ice day"?
I think he did, because then he says to the senator. I mean, the senator turns up and he says, "I should have said freeze." So I was like, so did you make a pun? But the way you delivered it made it sound like it wasn't a pun. I just don't think he's very good at it. All of his puns are just like he's embarrassed to be saying them. It's just gonna have a nice day. You really need to. Schwarzenegger commits to a pun when you give him a good pun. He commits to it. Like,
you know what we need to watch at some point soon? Batman and Robin.
Yes. Last time we watched that was on your birthday.
Killed the dinosaurs. The Ice Age. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's. I will defend that film to the death. I think that film is a camp classic. A couple more. Drink every time somebody climbs or jumps out of a window.
Yes.
It happens very much. When he's in the hospital, when his partner gets killed, and the nurse calls for help, and JCVD, of all the ways to escape from a hospital, he just like runs to the nearest window and just goes, boom!
I feel like he doesn't know what's outside the window. Like, luckily, there's some bit of the building that he can grab onto.
Yeah.
But I feel like he didn't know that was there.
Also, not a cut on him.
No,
a cut on him.
never.
Actually, this isn't one of my drinking games, but one thing that I wish they'd done more of this film is how if you hurt somebody's younger self, it happens to the old self. Because I did think it was really cool. There's just one scene where it happens where JCVD punches kicks young Senator in the face.
Yeah.
And old Senator gets a scar.
Yeah.
Like it appears out of nowhere. And I thought, that's really cool. I like that. Never happens again.
No.
Never happens again.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah. It's a cool little thing. But,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're rarely looking at a future version of someone.
No, but I thought that was how he'd die. I thought like they'd do something more interesting with the young Senator rather than just like turn them into this like CGI goop thing.
Yeah.
I thought they'd like, I don't know, like set young Senator on fire and old Senator be like, the pain, or something. I don't know.
I liked it when I did that in Looper. Do you remember?
Yeah.
When they'd like carve messages into some
Exactly,
younger version
yeah.
of self. Like, yeah, it was grim, but it was great. It was really well done.
This film wouldn't have been great. It would have been more fun because it's campier. But yeah.
Yeah.
And my last drinking game, it's an obvious one. Drink every time there's a plot hole or a bizarre leap of logic.
Mm-hmm.
Drink every time you're just like, huh? There's something in that vein.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's all I got. So, listeners, if you want any more drinking games, then you can go to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. Subscribe to us for as much or as little as you want. You don't just get more drinking games, you can get more listen submissions, you can get more sequel ideas, all with the extended versions of this main episode. We also get some bonus episodes called Beyond the Box Set, where we review recent releases. We're about to go to the cinema in about half an hour or so we need to hurry this up. Going to go see The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard or whatever.
Must rush because it's such a high quality film. Yeah.
It'll be we enjoyed the
I'm
last
sure
one.
it'll be a good time.
I know this one's had bad reviews because it's just, I think they just say like, oh, it's just your basic action movie. So was the last one.
Yeah, I'll go with an open mind. We'll see. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll enjoy myself. And also, if you become Patreon, you can have a 30-second advert slot right here on the main show. Talk about whatever you want, your own podcast, your own business, whatever you want to chat about. All that, patreon.com/beyond the box set.
Indeed.
Let's see, Alex. What do you think of Jaws, which is at 97% Rotten Tomatoes?
I find it to be anti-shark propaganda. What do you feel about the Entourage movie, which is at a meager 33%?
I think they finally got Hollywood right. How about It Follows, 97%?
Worse than your parents giving you the sex is evil talk. How do you feel about Juno, which is at 94%?
That would be a movie that celebrates a teenage homewrecker. How about Bewitched at 25%?
Best television adaptation ever put to film. How do you feel about American Hustle at a towering 93%?
Overwrought awards bait. Righteous Kill, 19%.
The movie that Michael Mann wishes he had made when he created Heat.
Sounds about right. I'm Julio.
I'm Alex, and we are the Contrarians.
As you can tell, our thing is that we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine,
regardless of what we really feel.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn,
Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere.
And now,
sequels. Would you like to go first?
Sure. So I've got some. One of them is very short. No, sorry, one of them is medium size, and the rest are very short because they are puns.
Oh, okay, great. I mean, it's an action film.
Yeah,
could have used more puns. So bring it.
Yeah, sure. I've only got 5 of those though, so you'll be.
Oh, thank God, not like 27.
Not an editing nightmare.
Okay, good.
There's surprisingly not many words that rhyme with cop.
No,
there's a few, sure, but like there's not loads. I was expecting hundreds, but no. So time mop.
I'm just imagining the same film, but it's... I don't know why that comes so much. It's weird. I'm sorry, I was just imagining this exact film, but it's just on. That really got me.
Are you okay?
I don't know why that got me so much. I'm sorry.
Listeners, John's as red as a tomato and he's actively crying. There's multiple tears out of each eye.
I'm sorry. I just got this mental image of like a high kicking mop, and it just really tickled me. And like a police outfit with like an little stick on like mullet. Just like... Oh, time mop. I love it. Have you got a story for that, or is that just it?
No, I've not got a story.
Okay, well, time mop. I love it.
Okay. Time mop might come in handy after you have a little time plop.
A time plop. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a little time traveling poo.
Yeah.
Not as fun. It's too Yeah, no, it's funny. It's a little bit too toilet humor, literally.
I didn't realize, but I think I've opened with my strongest here.
Yeah, you are pressed to top that.
Yeah. There's a times drop.
Times drop, is that like someone having a tantrum? Yeah.
I'm imagining it's a sequel to The Incredibles, where they have like another kid or whatever who can travel in time, but whenever they have a strop, they have a times drop.
Oh, so they have like a little girl, and maybe she hits like a terrible 2s, and it's incredibly dangerous. Oh, okay.
It's dangerous for the whole world.
So yeah,
she can travel back in time.
It could be like The Incredibles have a daughter, and her power is time travel, and when she hits the terrible 2s, she's just bouncing all over the timeline, causing all kinds of chaos.
Yeah.
Time drop, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also Time Shop.
Time shop. Okay.
Where you can buy time, I guess.
So, maybe it could be like Being John Malkovich kind of thing, where some people set up a portal, like a time travel business, and it's obviously illegal because it's incredibly dangerous for history, but they're secretly charging people to just go to any time zone they want. And yeah, maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme's job is to find this time shop and shut it down before any more damage is caused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that too, yeah. And last one I got, time swap.
Time swap.
People can swap times.
So, it could be like a pen pal system or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Foreign exchange, but with time rather than places, yeah.
Yeah, so like, I live in the 20s, but you live in a different time, and we're going to swap.
You'd swap with someone who lives in the 20s. You go and live in the 20s for a week.
Yeah.
They'd come and live your life for a week.
Yeah.
And madness would ensue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
that'd be fun, yeah.
Exactly. It could be really good.
Yeah, that sounds like the next logical step for those terrible Princess Switch movies.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to go at some point. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see what the next Princess Switch is going to be.
Yeah, same.
I love those. Yeah, Time Swap. I think I'd watch Time Swap. Whatever that would be, like literally to see two characters like having a pen pal thing, and then having a foreign exchange, and going backwards and forwards. Like that could be really interesting
if you could do a time swap,
especially if you did it with a diverse cast. Like, what's it like to live as a black person?
I don't think many people would take that, to be honest.
Well, like,
who would want to go and live as a black person in the age of slavery?
Other way around.
Oh yeah, sure. They'd love it, but like, I wouldn't. I don't think a lot of people would take that. Like.
If written well, that could be a really...
No, it'd be a great film. I'm just saying, I don't think that's a business. Hey, come and be a slave in 1920s America.
Again, that's why it would be the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, do a little time swap, take a black person from back in the past, bring them to the future, and the white person goes to the past.
Yeah, no, I get it, and it's a good idea. I was just like, I don't know what the business case for that is, but sure, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But no, I like that. If you had to do a time, or if you could do a time swap, what time period would you go back to? Swap with?
Okay, I'll go back to, I think, the Victorian age.
Okay.
But still like in Britain.
Yeah.
Because it would be recognizable enough in this country, but it'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it might also be horrible, probably would be. But, there'd be a lot of like buildings and stuff that I'd be able to recognize. I'd be able to go back to my parents' house and see what it looked like 150 years ago or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Or whatever Queen Victoria was about. Yeah, I reckon that's probably what I'd do.
I don't think I'd go back any time before penicillin. I don't want to risk it. I don't want to get tuberculosis.
Fair enough.
I'd go back to the 80s. But like to be an adult in the 80s rather than like a baby in the 80s. So I could like really experience like that amazing like queer 80s pop culture. That'd be amazing. So
nice. Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Cool. So, I mean, not going to lie, you peaked with Time Mop.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to be the peak. That's why I went first.
I don't know why that really got to me, but it really did.
I've never seen you laugh like that before.
It's been a while, yeah.
Great.
Okay.
I'm glad that worked. I do actually have an idea that I've actually written out.
Okay.
But I couldn't think of a title for it. So, Time Mop will not work for it.
Okay.
So this one, I guess it can be a sequel. It can also be a remake, whatever. So he goes back in time to the 70s.
Okay, cool.
He's going to stop some guy investing in Apple.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay. So are we 70s JCVD? Is this in 2000? Is this modern JCVD or is like?
Yeah. Let's take it modern. So he's 20 years old or something.
Well, he's 60 now. The actual JCVD is now 60. So,
okay. Yeah. Sure. Cool. I mean, he can probably still appear in a film like this.
Oh no, I'm not trying to write. I'm just trying to think of like.
Not sure he can do the splits on a kitchen, but.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like the costumes because I would love the idea of Jean-Claude Van Damme because obviously in this he's like full mullet. take him back to the 70s, put him in like a John Travolta, a white suit, disco strutting,
giant collar.
Yeah. That could be something. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes back to the 70s. Some guy's investing in Apple, and he needs to stop that guy.
Sure.
I've written this very quickly. He shoots the guy dead.
So why does he want them to stop them from investing in Apple? Has Apple become evil? Or
no. Just it's a really good thing to invest in.
Oh, a criminal has tried to invest in Apple from the future, and he has to chase him down and stop him from investing.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's his job, isn't it?
I see. Okay, right, I get it. So he's not trying to stop Apple from existing.
No,
he's just stopping a future criminal from embezzling Apple.
Yes.
Okay, I get you. Okay.
Yeah, basically. He shoots this guy dead, which inadvertently stops a lot of people investing in Apple.
Mm-hmm. I see, because someone died on their premises.
Yes, or something like that. Yeah, some reason like it does dirty Apple's relationship,
right?
And
sure.
nobody wants to invest in Apple anymore, which means that Apple doesn't actually do as well anymore.
Oh no!
And so instead, maybe these people they invest their invest their money in a robotics company instead. Like they're just all about investing in tech or whatever.
Okay.
Thinking like,
so it
tech's the
inadvertently
future.
causes a future like iRobot style where robots rule the world.
Well, now you're onto it.
Okay.
So when Van Damme goes back to the future, there are no more Timecops.
Okay.
So he's the only one. Maybe he arrives and there's not even a time machine anymore. He just arrives in a wormhole. But in fact, there are no cops at all. There are only RoboCops.
Oh, I see. Oh, we're bringing Stallone in.
No, wrong franchise.
Is Stallone not in RoboCop?
No, you're thinking Judge Dredd.
Oh, sorry. I always get those two mixed up. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. RoboCop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say RoboCop. That's where I kind of wanted to go with this, but it turns way more into Terminator.
Okay.
So Van Damme being the only person not to have this form of police like gradually ease their way in. It's like in this world, it's been, hey, we're going to introduce a new kind of police officer, and we'll introduce one, and we'll see how we go. And it's the RoboCop.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, that worked really well. So we're going to gradually introduce them and lots of sort of propaganda about it, like promoting it, and so everybody just kind of gets on board, and the marketing gets in people's heads and like, hey, this is good, this is great. But then when somebody like Van Damme comes in and is like, hey, I've never seen this before, and now suddenly the whole world is run by robots. This is bad.
Yeah.
I can see that this is because I've not had the 20 years of marketing.
Sure. Yeah.
This is bad. And so he sees them for what they are. Brutal murder machines with no humanity.
Right, okay.
And he quickly also finds that these RoboCops have become self-aware and are taking control. I mean, I know this doesn't actually line up with the plot of RoboCop very
I've
well.
never seen RoboCop. It's fine.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
No.
Yeah, and they're on the cusp of inventing a Terminator-style time machine.
Oh dear.
And so
it's the rise of the machines.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the idea?
Are you aware that was a Terminator title?
Yes, I know it was a Terminator title.
Great.
I'm mixing all the franchise names now. So I guess what you're saying is he needs to go back in time again and make sure Apple fixes. Apple becomes the dominant after all to avoid this future from happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Van Damme, in the style of Terminator, he gets quickly undressed. Though at this point, there's actually nothing to indicate that inorganic matter can't time travel.
Sure.
So he gets in a time machine, fully naked, and sends himself back at the last minute, just before the robots come in to try and stop him.
Okay.
He's back in the 70s.
Okay.
Minutes before his younger self is going to stop that guy investing in Apple, he stops himself and explains that, hey, you, younger me, or minutes younger me, if you stop that guy investing, the world is going to end.
Is there also like a 17-year-old Van Damme wandering around this? Because presumably he would still have been alive in the 70s.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
I mean, he could just be back in Belgium. I don't know.
Yeah, I've not really brought that into it, but yeah.
Sure. So the two older Van Dammes are just, he's trying to stop himself.
Yeah. So between them, they come to the conclusion that this guy's time crimes, again, like by investing in Apple, were just always meant to be. That's the best outcome.
Right, sure.
That's the best time.
So it's like, it's like the lesser of two evils. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Like if we stop this guy investing, the world's going to end. If we allow this guy to commit his crime, the world will live on, and Apple will just become the biggest company in the world, which that's where we live.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, they watch this guy invest in Apple and then time travel back. They follow him through the wormhole, and they start questioning this guy. And who is this guy? Well, actually, he's the guy who creates this Timecop company, as in the company that they work for as Timecops.
Okay.
So from the start of this movie, that guy who comes in and makes that pitch to the government or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It's that guy.
So he's a criminal and also the creator of the...
And so it basically turns out that they created the Timecop company with the money they invested in Apple. So the Timecop company itself
is compromised.
Is based off a crime.
Wow. Okay.
It's based off a time crime. So yeah, then they're a bit confused. I don't know. But yeah, so then that's it.
Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, I say I like it. It's no time mop, but it's a good idea. I like it. Yeah, actually, I went down a very similar route of it being like of there being like a initial crime that I'll get to it, but basically, yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea, and yeah, I like the idea that you can use the modern JCVD and bring him into it as an older man and like bring in all his regrets and stuff, and yeah. And bring in the origin of Apple, which I know you're very fond of crowbarring in from now and again. So yeah, very good. I
just wanted to pick something I knew would be a well-known sound investment.
Sure.
And if you could go back to the 70s and invest in Apple, you'd be a billionaire now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you didn't have a title for that, did you?
No.
Like Saturday night. I want to do like a Saturday Night Fever thing or like a 70s thing, like Saturday night.
I really couldn't think of anything.
Timecop to an apple a day.
An apple a day.
An apple a day. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so my sequel, mine is called Timecop to The Time Bandit.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's also a film called Time Bandit. So this has nothing to do with that film, but it's just put that in there. So I kind of really was intrigued. I think I mentioned it before on this episode. I was really intrigued by that house, that giant palatial mansion they live in, and how on earth a low-ranking police officer and a woman who makes bird boxes for a living could possibly afford that house. So that really set me thinking about how that might happen. So that got me thinking that maybe it turns out that kind of similar to yours, Jean-Claude Van Damme himself actually went into the time coppery industry to cover his own tracks as a time bandit, as a time criminal.
Sure.
So we're going to flash back to before the events of the original film, to a young JCVD who's like in his early 20s. And actually, it turns out that JCVD has 3 children, and he has sons who are also actors now. I don't know what they're in, but they act, so they could like play the young him, and that could be like a good team up. So yeah, we're gonna have like one of his sons playing the very young early 20s Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be set like in probably like the early 80s or something, and he's just arrived, like he's fresh off the boat from Belgium. He's just landed in America for a new start in his life. He's a young man with hopes and dreams. He lands in America from Belgium with no money, no prospects, just the clothes on his back, a thick Belgian accent, and a black belt in martial arts.
Okay.
So that's what he's got.
Yeah.
And so in order to kind of make his living, because he's got no connections and no money, he starts just working odd jobs in like security. Because obviously clearly he's a big guy. That's what he's suited for. And he ends up doing like, bouncer work in nightclubs and stuff. And one night he's working the doors on some very fancy nightclub in New York. And he meets a beautiful young woman named Melissa, which is apparently what the name of his wife was in the film. Although I don't think they ever say it. But yeah, she's Melissa. And he falls madly in love with her. Like love at first sight, classic. And she likes him too. They get together. But it turns out she's from a very wealthy family, because this is like a very posh nightclub. And she's from a super rich family.
Yeah.
And of course, her parents do not approve of her marrying some penniless immigrant. That's not what they see for her at all. But she herself, she claims she doesn't care. She doesn't care what her family thinks. She says she truly loves him, and they run away together. They elope, they get married. But he still feels this really intense pressure, just from himself, not from her, to give her the life that she's been used to. Like she's used to coming from money. She's used to having expensive things in a big house and stuff, and he wants to give her that, and he's afraid if he doesn't give that to her, then she'll leave him. So it puts a lot of pressure on him. And so to make some more money, he takes a job in the police force. He becomes a police officer, just a regular one. And one day he's doing a sting operation on a local gang. And it turns out this gang, he doesn't know it at the time, but only when he does the sting, this gang that he stops is actually a gang it's a time travel gang that they're using time travel technology to steal and embezzle money. Like the original film sets up these criminals are doing. Maybe he goes to stop this gang, and maybe there's like a shootout, and he's the only one who survives. Like his partner gets killed, all the criminals get killed. He's the last one standing, and it means that he's left with the time travel technology.
Got it.
He discovers it, and he realizes what it is, and he decides rather than turn it into the government and say what it is, he keeps it for himself. And then he starts traveling in time to commit crime, to make money, to keep his wife in all the things that she wants, so he can fund her so he can buy her this giant house, this enormous house.
Yeah.
So he starts off doing like really victimless stuff. Like, he just plays the stock exchange, he gambles, he does the lottery, just stuff that doesn't hurt anyone. It's not a big deal, really. But as his expenses mount, as he buys this giant house and things get more and more expensive, things start to spiral, and he starts to, he starts to have to commit more and more dangerous crimes and take more and more risks just to stay on top of all his spiraling expenses. His wife knows nothing about this, of course. She's completely blind to it. For a long time, nobody suspects him and he gets away with it. And actually, he's also still doing his day job as a police officer.
Yeah.
And because of his incredibly good record and his wide range of, martial arts talents and other talents and skills, he's actually recommended for a top secret program, which is, of course, the Timecop program.
Yeah.
So he gets a recommendation to be promoted to join this new agency, the Timecops. And he knows that he can't turn it down without arousing suspicion because it's such a great job. It's a great opportunity. So he does actually enroll in the Timecop company. And that's when we meet up with the events of the actual film, where obviously we see him in the mall a few days before he was supposed to join this new job. And of course, just as everything happened in the movie happens here, his wife is murdered, his house explodes, all that stuff happens. And after his wife, so then we're going to get to the midpoint between 1994 and 2004 that the movie skips over.
Yeah.
The 10 years while his wife is dead, where he grows his mullet. So once his wife dies, he's overcome with guilt. And because he feels so guilty and he feels so devastated, he resolves to quit his life of crime. No more time crime. He's going to devote himself in her memory to just being a really good time cop.
Yeah.
And he spends the next decade trying to be the best time cop he can be. And that's why he travels all through time, bringing criminals in. And he's put his old criminal life completely behind him. So then we cut to the present day, 2021. And now 60-year-old JCVD, present day, is preparing for his retirement. He's had 30 good years on the force. He's still married to his beautiful wife, and he's got children or a son, whatever. And he's had a good life, and he's happy. He's about ready to retire. But just before his retirement party, his crimes catch up with him because it turns out that because of all the time crimes that have happened in the original movie and probably since, it's even more of a serious crime now than it was at the time. So people really go back and investigate like historical crimes, and it turns out that without his knowledge, a team of younger investigators on his own department have been investigating him. Like they picked up a lead that he might have been involved in some stuff when he was younger, and now they've finally found the evidence. And so now just before his party, they come up and they try to arrest him for historic time crimes. And he's been clean for 30 odd years. He's not done a single crime in 30 years. But even though he tries to explain and he apologizes, they won't listen to him. They're like, you committed those crimes. The law's the law. You go into jail.
Yeah.
So there's nothing he can do except beat them all up. Just high kick them all in the face, do some splits, I like the idea that he's still got it at 60. Like, I want to see like 60 or GC just still busting all those moves.
Yeah.
So he beats up all of the people trying to arrest him and escapes back into the past, like jumps into a time machine, jumps back. He realizes his only chance to save his future is to go back to his past. That can be like the tagline.
Yeah.
So he jumps
back to the past.
The only way to save his future is to go back to the past.
Back to the past.
That's the strapline, I think.
Yeah.
So he goes back to the early 90s again to convince his younger self not to start the life of crime in the first place. So he goes back to before the original film, before any crimes have happened, to try and convince young JCVD not to become a criminal because it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
And just instead just live a normal life and trust your wife and just buy a smaller goddamn house. Basically, that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
So he tries that, but it gets very convoluted because he's got to create the perfect timeline for all this. And what he finds out is that if he stops himself from becoming a time cop, which is essentially what happens, then there's nobody around to stop the evil senator.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't stop the evil senator, then the evil senator is going to become the evil president and the world's going to be fucked. So him and his younger self have to jump around all these different time zones of the 90s to try and figure out a way to create a timeline in which the evil senator still stays dead, JCVD stays out of trouble, and his marriage survives. So no matter how much he does it, every time he bounces to a new time zone and tries to create a new timeline, it's the butterfly effect. Something else goes wrong.
Yeah,
makes sense. Eventually it ends up with there's like a dozen versions of JCVD just running around the future and the past, all the timelines, making things worse and worse and worse. And eventually he realizes that he's still making the same mistakes now as he did 30 years ago. He's trying to use time travel to get himself out of trouble instead of just owning up to what he's done. So now he realizes, the 60-year-old JCVD, he realizes that all he can do is just confess and serve his time. He's like, you know what? I'm 60. I've had a really good life. He goes to his wife. He tells her that everything he did was work. He confesses to her. He's like, this is what's happened. I'm going to go to jail now, but we've had 30 beautiful years. I don't regret a single day of it. It was worth it. And he hands himself in and goes to jail, and the credits roll. And it's like he learns his lesson.
Nice.
Yeah. That is Time Cop 2, Time Bandits.
Nice.
Because he is the time bandit.
I could swear they've done that on Star Trek.
I've probably pulled it from some recess of my mind. Yeah, none of our sequels are completely original. They're all from some vague memory of something I've seen in the past.
Isn't everything?
Exactly. Yeah, there's no new ideas.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, that was Time Bandits.
Nice.
Right, should we move on to listener submissions then?
Yeah, what have they got?
Cool. I've got a handful this week. Not that many actually, but I thought there'd be more for this film. But whatever. Dennis Fanning said Timecop 2, Yesterday's Future Tomorrow. Sounds suitably convoluted. Chris Allen said Timecop 7, the sequels are the prequels. I guess that kind of fits with what we did, but yeah. I like the idea of there being like 7 of them. Ryan Kleemer said Timecop ACAB BC with JCVD. I think he just likes all of loves all those acronyms. Yeah. Derek Genova said Timecop $, cash in sequels.
Nice.
$, $sign. Over on Twitter, at Next to the Aisle said Times Cop, in which JCVD goes back in time to help his younger self learn his times tables at school. So he goes back to like 8-year-old JCVD, like a little 8-year-old martial arts superstar.
Why?
I guess just Times Cop. Yeah, I think the title informed the plot there. So that's that one.
If you could go back in time and teach your younger self something, what would it be?
How to dress.
Sure.
Yeah, just things not to do more than anything. Yeah. Just cautionary tales from start to finish.
Yeah.
And finally, the unequal sequel at unequal sequel said, as long as he keeps the mullets, I'll be happy.
Yep.
So I do like the idea of like modern day 21st century 6-year-old JCVD full mullet, maybe even bigger, an even bigger mullet. I like that. So yeah, thank you everybody for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, in all of which you can also leave a 5-star review if you wish. You can also support us on Patreon for as much or as little as you think we're worth, and you can access all the bonus features we mentioned earlier in the show if you do that. You can find all the links in the description below or at beyondtheboxset.com. And next week, Harry, it's back to you. Have you got anything for me?
Yeah. I've got a film that you're either going to love or you're going to hate.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I don't know. If you're going to hate it, I think you're still going to want to do it anyway.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
I'm not sure. Going back to the 80s.
Okay, always a good time, yeah.
84 or 5, I think it is.
Interesting. Okay.
Starring, I think, 2 actors that we've never actually touched on.
Oh, is this like a double act?
No, I don't think so. Yes, we've got John Lithgow.
Oh, okay.
Have we done a John Lithgow film before?
Not as the lead. I don't know if he's popped up in something, maybe.
He's not the lead in this, I don't believe. The lead, everybody is 6 degrees away from him.
Kevin Bacon? Are we doing Footloose?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I've never seen it.
Have you not?
No, those dance, like Footloose, Dirty Dancing, Fame, Flashdance, I've just not seen them.
Yeah.
They've never really been my bag, but having not seen them, maybe they will be.
Yeah.
So I'm on board for Footloose.
Okay, sure.
Okay, great. So
sure. Maybe we could do a little dancing season.
We could do them all. Yeah.
Some of those that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So Footloose, that's going to be next week. I don't know if this is going to be a film that you're going to absolutely love or if it's just going to be horrible.
I think it'll be a good time either way.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm on board with this. Yeah, it's a good choice. We'll see.
Yeah. So we'll see. Anyway, yeah. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yep. Join us next week for Footloose.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.